Good morning, boys and girls. Today is Wednesday, April 1st, 2020, April Fool's Day, but there's no fooling with Mrs. Tells today. We're going to get right down to work. Your journal today is the thing I don't like about learning at home is blank because blank. So yesterday you wrote about the best thing about learning at home was, and you drew a picture and you told me why. And today I want to know what you don't like about learning at home and why. So, also today is Wednesday, so it is a vocabulary day. So we are going to look at 2 vocabulary words with our morning read aloud. Okay, so our morning read aloud is a weekend with Wendell. And our vocabulary words to look at today are relatives and patient. Okay, so A Weekend with Wendell, again by our author Kevin Hanks. On Friday afternoon, Wendell's parents dropped him off at Sophie's house. "Wendell's going to spend the weekend with us," said Sophie's mother, "while his parents visit relatives out of town." "Oh boy," said Wendell. Sophie didn't say anything. So here's our sentence. "Wendell's going to spend the weekend with us," said Sophie's mother, while his parents visit relatives out of town. And relatives is another word for family members. So relatives are your family members. Okay, and we'll go back and write a sentence for relatives after we're done with the story. After snack, Sophie helped Wendell carry his sleeping bag and suitcase upstairs. "Well, what are we going to do now?" asked Wendell. "Do you have any toys?" Sophie pointed to her toy chest. "Is that all you've got?" said Wendell. "I've got 1,000,000 times more than that. What else is there to do around here?" "We could play house," said Sophie. "Only if I can make the rules," said Wendell. So they played house, and Wendell made the rules. He was the father, the mother, and the 5 children. Sophie was the dog. Then he played hospital. Wendell was the doctor, the nurse, and the patient. Sophie was the desk clerk. Okay, so there's our second vocabulary word. Let's read it again. Then they played hospital. Wendell was the doctor, the nurse, and the patient. Sophie was the desk clerk. So a patient is a person who a doctor takes care of. Okay? All right, here we go. Let's finish our story, and then we'll go back and write sentences. When they pretended they worked in a bakery, Wendell was the baker, and Sophie was a sweet roll. Poor Sophie. "Isn't this fun?" said Wendell. Sophie didn't say anything. At dinner, Wendell said that he was allergic to anything green, so he didn't have to eat his vegetables. And then when Sophie wasn't looking, he scooped the whipped cream off her dessert. "When is Wendell leaving?" whispered Sophie. "Soon," said her mother. "Soon," said her father. After Sophie's parents tucked Sophie in her bed, zipped Wendell in his sleeping bag, kissed them both, and turned off the light, Wendell grabbed his flashlight and shone it right in Sophie's eyes. "See you tomorrow," he said, smiling. Sophie shut her eyes. "I can't wait for Wendell to go home," she said to herself. On Saturday morning, when Sophie woke up, there was a lumpy blue monster jumping up and down on her bed. It was Wendell. She felt something pinch her leg at breakfast. It was Wendell. She heard scary noises coming from the broom closet. It was Wendell. Wendell used Sophie's crayons and left them all on the porch so they melted. At lunch, Wendell finger painted with his peanut butter and jelly. "Isn't this fun?" said Wendell. Sophie didn't say anything. "When is Wendell leaving?" whispered Sophie. "Soon," said her mother. "Soon," said her father. At bedtime, when Sophie put her head on her pillow, she heard something crunch. It was a note from Wendell. It said, "See you tomorrow." Sophie shut her eyes. "I can't wait for Wendell to go home," she said to herself. So here's Wendell. He's got fangs and he's saying, "Oh, ha, ha, oh, oh," and he's chasing poor Sophie. Before Wendell's parents picked him up on Sunday morning, he tried to make a long-distance call. And it says, "Is this the North Pole?" He wrote his name on the bathroom mirror with toothpaste. I gotta tell you, this child would not be coming back to Mrs. Tell's house. And he gave Sophie a new hairdo with shaving cream. "Want to go outside to help me wash this off?" asked Sophie. "We could play firefighter." "Oh boy," said Wendell. Sophie is not looking very happy. Can't blame her. So they played firefighter, and Sophie made the rules. She was fire chief. Wendell was the burning building. "Isn't this fun?" said Sophie. Wendell didn't say anything. "Do I get to be fire chief?" asked Wendell. "Maybe," said Sophie, and she's pouring water on top of him. Soon Wendell and Sophie didn't care who was the fire chief and who was the burning building. I think somebody learned his lesson. "Time to go," said Sophie's mother. "Time to go," said Sophie's father. "Already?" said Wendell. "Already?" said Sophie. "When is Wendell coming back?" asked Sophie. "Never," said her mother. "Never," said her father. That afternoon, when Wendell unpacked his suitcase, he heard something crunch. It was a note from Sophie. It said, "I hope I see you soon." So I think Sophie taught Wendell a thing or two about being nice. So now, let's write our sentences for relatives. Wendell's parents went to visit relatives out of town. And let's make sure, boys and girls, when you're writing in your notebook, remember we always need to check, and I can't highlight, but I can box this in with yellow. Please make sure you're highlighting your capital letter and your period to make sure you wrote a complete sentence. And then, down at the bottom here, I'll do this so we can see the bottom. And I'll take a picture of this and make sure I send it to your parents. Let's see the bottom word, which is patient. Wendell played doctor, nurse, and patient when they played hospital. And once again, make sure you're taking your highlighter and you're checking for your capital letters and your periods. Okay? So I will take a picture of this, and I will make sure moms and dads get this as part of their email so that you can take a better look at the sentences, because I know you can't see the sentence at the bottom. Have a great morning, and I will be back in the afternoon with your math lesson. And our final chapter of Flying Flea is going to be posted this afternoon, so don't forget to take a listen to that. The story ended really good. See you this afternoon, guys. Bye.